Pack your bags and leave now, her stepfather screamed. Minutes later, a billionaire CEO showed up. My stepfather shoved a suitcase into my arms and yelled for me to get out, but before I could even breathe, the door burst open behind him. A billionaire CEO stepped inside, his gaze sweeping over me like he'd been searching for me his whole life. And the demand he made almost knocked my stepfather off his feet. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're watching from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Now, let's continue. Pack your bags and leave now! Derek's voice exploded through the house like a gunshot, rattling the picture frames on the walls. My suitcases lay scattered across the front lawn, my entire life thrown out like garbage. "You have 1 hour," he snarled, blocking the doorway with his body. "Or I'm calling the police to drag you out as a trespasser." 6 months. That's how long my mother had been gone, and already he was erasing me from the only home I'd ever known. "Derek, please," I begged, my voice cracking. "I grew up here. This is my house." His hand shot out and grabbed my arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "Your house?" He laughed, cold and cruel. "Your mother left everything to me. You're nothing. You have no rights here." I tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Tears blurred my vision as I reached for one of the suitcases with my free hand, ready to just leave, to escape this nightmare, to disappear. That's when I heard them. Engines, multiple vehicles screeching to a stop outside. A convoy of black SUVs lined the street. And from the lead vehicle stepped a man who looked like he'd walked off a magazine cover. Expensive suit, commanding presence, and eyes that locked onto Derek's hand on my arm with deadly focus. He strode toward us with purpose, and when he spoke, his voice cut through the air like a blade. "My wife isn't going anywhere, especially not with you threatening her." The world stopped. Derek's fingers went slack on my arm. I stumbled backward, staring at this stranger who'd just called me his wife. Wife? I'm Lily Foster, and what I'm about to tell you sounds like something straight out of a thriller movie, but I swear every single word of this story is true. Before we go any further, if you've ever felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, if you've ever had your world turned completely upside down by family, drop a comment below, because trust me, you're going to want to hear how this story unfolds. The twists that are coming will blow your mind. But to understand how I ended up married to a billionaire CEO I'd never met, how my stepfather went from caring husband to my worst enemy, and how my mother's death was anything but natural, I need to take you back. Back to 9 months before that moment, back to when everything started to unravel. 9 months earlier, I was finishing my senior year of college, buried in architecture projects and dreaming about my future. Life was normal. Good, even. My mother would call me every Sunday without fail. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. She'd tell me about her garden, about the charity foundation she ran, about how proud she was of me. She never told me she was dying, not the cancer. We all knew about that, stage 3 but treatable. She'd been fighting it for 2 years, and the doctors were optimistic. No, what she didn't tell me was that someone was killing her. It was a Tuesday morning in February when my phone rang at 6 a.m. I knew before I answered. No one calls at 6 a.m. with good news. "Lily," Derek's voice was shaking. "You need to come home. It's your mom. She's gone." Gone. Such a small word for such a massive loss. "What happened?" I whispered. "Her heart gave out last night. The doctors said it was a complication from the cancer treatments. She went peacefully in her sleep." A pause. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I don't remember the drive home, don't remember packing or telling my roommate or anything." The next clear memory I have is pulling into the driveway and seeing Derek on the porch, looking every bit the devastated husband. He held me while I sobbed, and I believed every tear he shed was real. The funeral was 3 days later. Hundreds of people came. My mother had touched so many lives through her charity work, her volunteer efforts, her kindness. Derek stood beside me at the graveside, his hand on my shoulder, supportive, grieving, the perfect stepfather. I had no idea I was standing next to her murderer. After the funeral, life became a blur. Friends and family slowly drifted back to their own lives. The casseroles stopped coming. The phone calls became less frequent. It was just Derek and me in that big, empty house. "You should stay here," he said one evening. "Finish the semester online. This is your home, Lily. Your mother would want you here." I was grateful. I couldn't imagine going back to my apartment, pretending everything was normal. So I stayed. That was my first mistake. For 3 weeks, Derek played his role perfectly. He made sure I was eating, gave me space when I needed it, acted like the caring stepfather my mother had married. Then he called me into my father's old study. "We need to discuss your mother's estate," he said, sliding a folder across the desk. "The lawyer wants to do an official reading next week, but I wanted to give you a heads up." I opened the folder with shaking hands, legal documents I couldn't understand. "Your mother left you some personal items," Derek continued. "Jewelry, photos, and a small trust fund, maybe $50,000. He paused and something flickered across his face. "Everything else, the house, her accounts, the foundation, she left to me." It made sense. They'd been married for 2 years. Of course she'd leave things to her husband. "Okay," I said quietly. Derek smiled. "You'll always have a home here, Lily. Your family." But his eyes told a different story. The official will reading happened the following Tuesday. Derek and I sat in the lawyer's office while Jeffrey Hartman, who'd known my parents for 20 years, opened a thick envelope. Legal language washed over me. I zoned out, thinking about how my mother would never see another sunrise. Then Mr. Hartman said something that cut through my fog. "I hereby leave my entire estate, including the family trust established by my late husband David Foster, all properties, accounts, and investments, totaling approximately $40 million, to my daughter, Lily Marie Foster." Silence. I blinked. 40 million. That couldn't be right. "There must be a mistake," Derek said, his voice gone cold. "Her estate doesn't total $40 million. Mr. Hartman pulled out another document. "The majority is the trust established by David Foster. Upon Mrs. Foster's death, control transfers directly to Lily as sole biological heir." He continued reading. "To my husband, Derek Vaughn, I leave the sum of $50,000 and my gratitude for his companionship." $50,000. I turned to look at Derek. His face had gone white. His jaw clenched. His hands gripped the armrests hard enough that his knuckles turned bone white, and his eyes, pure, undiluted rage. But then it was gone, replaced by that gentle smile. "Of course," he said smoothly. "Your mother knew what she was doing. You deserve everything, Lily." Mr. Hartman looked between us, clearly sensing tension. "Lily, I'd like to schedule a separate meeting to discuss the trust. There are decisions you'll need to make." I nodded, unable to speak. The drive home was silent. Derek gripped the steering wheel, and I pressed myself against the passenger door, suddenly afraid. We pulled into the driveway. Derek turned off the engine, but didn't move. $40 million, he said quietly. "Did you know?" "No, I had no idea." He turned to look at me, and the mask had slipped. Your mother was a clever woman, much cleverer than I gave her credit for. Derek, what are you talking about? He laughed. Nothing. Let's go inside. But I knew something fundamental had shifted, that I was in danger. That night, I locked my bedroom door for the first time, pushed a chair under the handle, lay awake listening for footsteps. Nothing happened. But the next morning, Derek was at the kitchen table with coffee and that same cold smile. We need to talk about your inheritance. Over the next 3 weeks, Derek's mask continued to slip. The concerned stepfather disappeared, replaced by someone calculating and cruel. He started making comments about how I was too young to handle that kind of money, how I'd waste it, how my mother would have wanted someone experienced to manage the trust. I started spending time away from the house, coffee shops, the library, anywhere but alone with Derek. But I had to come home eventually. Then, 2 months after my mother's death, I made the mistake of coming home early. I found Derek in my mother's bedroom, going through her jewelry box. These should be sold, he said when he saw me. Your mother would want the money used for something useful. Those are mine, I said. The will left me all her personal effects. Derek's smile was terrifying. And how exactly are you going to stop me from taking them? That's when I realized how trapped I was. This was legally his house. I had no power, no options. I'll call Mr. Hartman, I said, pulling out my phone. Derek moved fast. He grabbed my wrist, squeezed until I gasped, and took my phone. I don't think so, he said. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over control of that trust to me, willingly, with a smile. No. The slap came out of nowhere. Pain exploded across my cheek, and I stumbled backward. Wrong answer, Derek said calmly. But you'll change your mind. They always do. He walked out, taking my phone. I should have run. Should have grabbed my keys and left, but I was frozen, shocked. By the time I unfroze, Derek had taken my car keys, my wallet, everything. I was trapped in my own home. That was 3 days ago. 3 days of Derek bringing me meals, trying to convince me to sign papers. 3 days of increasing threats. 3 days of realizing my mother's death might not have been natural. 3 days until this morning, when Derek finally snapped. He'd burst into my room at dawn, yanked me out of bed, and started throwing my clothes into suitcases. I'm done playing games, he'd snarled. You want to be stubborn? Fine. Get out. He dragged me down the stairs, my feet barely touching the ground, and thrown the suitcases onto the lawn. Pack your bags and leave now, he'd screamed, loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. I'd scrambled on the grass trying to gather my mother's photos, her jewelry box that had spilled open in the dirt. You have 1 hour, Derek said, standing over me like a prison guard. Then I'm calling the police. My hands were shaking as I tried to stuff everything into the suitcases. Where would I even go? I had no money, no phone, no car. I was reaching for my mother's wedding ring when I heard the engines. The convoy of black SUVs pulled up like something from a movie. Neighbors came to their windows. People on morning walks stopped to stare. The lead vehicle's door opened and he stepped out. Tall, mid-30s, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire college tuition. Dark hair, sharp eyes, and a presence that made Derek actually take a step back. He walked toward us with absolute confidence, flanked by men in dark suits carrying briefcases. His eyes found mine, and something flickered in his expression. Recognition, relief, fury. Then he looked at Derek's hand on my arm, and his jaw tightened. My wife isn't going anywhere, he said, his voice quiet but carrying enough authority to make grown men nervous. Especially not with you threatening her. Derek's fingers went slack. I stumbled away from him, staring at this stranger. Who the hell are you? Derek demanded. This is private property. Get out before I call the police. The stranger's expression didn't change. "I'm Damien Cross, and I suggest you take your hands off my wife before this gets very unpleasant for you." My wife. He'd said it again. My wife. I'd never seen this man before in my entire life. "This is insane," Derek said, but his voice had lost its edge. "Lily isn't married. This is fraud." One of the men in suits stepped forward, handing Derek a document. "Marriage certificate dated 8 months ago, signed by Lily Marie Foster and Damien Cross, witnessed and certified by Judge Matthews. Completely legal and binding." 8 months ago? That was impossible. I would remember getting married. Derek snatched the document, his eyes scanning it frantically. I saw the color drain from his face. "This is fake," he said, but his voice wavered. "It has to be." Damien pulled out his phone and held it up. On the screen was a photo, and my knees nearly gave out. It was me, definitely me, standing next to this man in what looked like a courthouse, both of us signing papers. I was smiling in the photo, wearing a dress I'd never seen before, but I had absolutely no memory of this moment. "Would you like to see the wedding video?" Damien asked, his tone polite but edged with steel. "I have 50 witnesses who attended, including Judge Matthews, who performed the ceremony." "Lily!" Derek turned to me, desperation creeping into his voice. "Tell them this is crazy. Tell them you've never met this man." I opened my mouth, but no words came out, because I hadn't. I'd never met him. But that photo was real. My signature on that certificate looked real. What the hell was happening? Furthermore, another lawyer stepped forward. "We have documentation that this house was never yours, Mr. Vaughn. It was held in trust for Lily. Mrs. Foster's prenuptial agreement, which you signed, made that quite clear. You've been residing here as a guest who is no longer welcome." Prenuptial agreement? My mother had made Derek sign a prenup? "We also have documentation," the lawyer continued, "of verbal threats, physical assault, and attempted coercion regarding the family trust. I suggest you leave peacefully before we involve law enforcement." Derek looked between all of us, his carefully constructed world crumbling. "This isn't over," he snarled at me. "That money is mine. Your mother owed me." "My mother owed you nothing," I said, surprised by the strength in my voice. "And I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you really are." Derek grabbed his car keys from inside and stormed past us. "You'll regret this," he spat. "All of you." He got in his car and peeled out of the driveway, leaving tire marks on the pavement. And then it was just me, Damien Cross, and his team of lawyers standing in my front yard. I turned to face the stranger who'd just saved me from God knows what. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice shaking. "And why do you have a marriage certificate with my name on it?" Damien's expression softened. "That's a long story, one you deserve to hear all of. But first, are you okay? Did he hurt you?" I touched my cheek where Derek had slapped me days ago, and Damien's jaw tightened. "We're documenting everything," one of the lawyers said quietly. "Building a case." "A case for what?" I asked. Damien met my eyes, and what I saw there made my heart race. Sympathy, determination, and something that looked like guilt. "For proving that your mother's death wasn't an accident," he said, "and for keeping you alive long enough to get justice for her." The lawn tilted beneath my feet. My mother, murdered, and this stranger knew about it. "I think you'd better start explaining," I said, "starting with why you're claiming to be my husband when I've never seen you before in my life." Damien nodded slowly. "You're right. You deserve answers. All of them." He paused. "But Lily, some of what I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to hear, and some of it you're not going to remember. Not yet." What do you mean, not yet? Because 9 months ago, Damien said gently, your stepfather started drugging you, and you've lost almost 3 months of your life to memory loss, including the day you married me to save your life. The world went dark around the edges. Drugged, memory loss, married to save my life. I think, I said faintly, I need to sit down. Damien caught my elbow as my legs gave out, steadying me. Let's get you inside, away from the neighbors. And then I'll tell you everything. Everything? Everything, he confirmed. Starting with how your mother figured out Derek was poisoning her, and how she came to me, an old friend of your father's, and asked me to protect you the only way she could think of. By marrying me, I whispered. By marrying you, he agreed, to make sure Derek could never touch the trust, never touch you, never finish what he started. I looked up at this stranger with his kind eyes and expensive suit and impossible story. I don't remember you, I said. I don't remember any of this. I know, Damien said softly. But you will. The drugs are clearing your system. The memories will come back. And when they do, you're going to remember that your mother was brilliant, brave, and loved you enough to plan this protection even as she was dying. Tears streamed down my face. She knew, I said. She knew he was killing her. She knew, Damien confirmed, and she made sure he'd never get away with it. She made sure you'd be safe, even after she was gone. He helped me toward the house, and I let him, because my legs weren't quite working right and my mind was reeling and nothing made sense anymore. Except one thing. My mother hadn't died peacefully in her sleep. She'd been murdered. And somehow, in her final weeks, she'd arranged for a stranger to become my husband, to protect me from the same fate. I looked at Damien Cross as we walked through my front door. Tell me everything, I said. I need to know everything. Then let's start at the beginning, Damien said. The day your mother walked into my office, barely able to stand, and told me her husband was poisoning her and she needed my help to save her daughter. And that's when my real nightmare began. Damien led me into my father's old study and closed the door. His lawyers stationed themselves in the hallway like guards. I sank into the leather chair, still clutching my mother's jewelry box. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Start talking, I said. Damien sat across from me, his expression careful, measured, like he was trying to figure out how much truth I could handle. All of it, I added. Don't treat me like I'm fragile. He nodded. Your father and I were business partners, best friends, actually. We built Foster Construction together from nothing. When he died 10 years ago, I made him a promise. That I'd watch over you and your mother if anything ever happened to him. I don't remember you, I said, from back then. You were 12, and after your father died, I moved to the West Coast to open a new branch of the company. Your mother and I stayed in touch, but I wasn't around much. He pulled out his phone, swiped through photos, and handed it to me. My breath caught. It was my father, younger, smiling, his arm around a man I recognized as a younger version of Damien. They were standing in front of a construction site, both wearing hard hats, both grinning like they owned the world. That was the day we broke ground on our first major project, Damien said quietly. Your father talked about you constantly, showed me your drawings, said you were going to be an architect someday, better than either of us. Tears blurred my vision. Why didn't my mother ever mention you? She did. You just don't remember. The words hung in the air like a threat. What do you mean I don't remember? Damien leaned forward. Lily, when was the last clear memory you have? Before today. Before Derek threw you out. I thought about it. Yesterday, last week, I don't know, it's all blurry. I've been locked in my room, losing track of time. Go back further. Before Derek trapped you, what do you remember from 8, 9, 10 months ago? I tried to think. My mind felt like it was full of fog. I was at school, finals, spring semester. I frowned. But I can't remember coming home for spring break or Easter. I can't remember. The panic hit me like a wave. I can't remember March, I whispered, or most of February. It's just gone. Derek was drugging you, Damien said gently. Benzodiazepines mixed into your evening tea. Your mother figured it out because he'd been doing the same thing to her. That's insane. Is it? Think about it. How did you feel during that time? I closed my eyes, trying to push through the fog. Tired. Always so tired. My mother kept saying I was working too hard, that I needed to rest more. She'd make me tea every night, chamomile to help me sleep. It wasn't your mother making the tea, Damien said. It was Derek, offering to help her, to take care of you so she could rest. She didn't realize what he was doing until it was too late. My stomach turned. How do you know all this? Because 9 months ago, your mother called me. She could barely speak. She was so weak. She said she needed my help urgently. That she'd discovered something terrible. Damien stood, walked to the window, his back to me. I flew out the next day, met her at a coffee shop away from the house. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in the months since I'd last seen her. She told me Derek had been stealing from the family trust, that she'd found evidence he'd done this before to another wife who'd died under mysterious circumstances. His first wife, I breathed. Exactly. And when your mother confronted him, started asking questions, that's when she got sick. Really sick. Symptoms that didn't match her cancer. Confusion, nausea, kidney problems. Poisoning, I said. Ethylene glycol, antifreeze, small doses over months, masked by her cancer treatment. By the time she figured it out, the damage was done. She knew she was dying. I gripped the arms of the chair. Why didn't she go to the police? She tried. They said there was no evidence, that her symptoms matched late-stage cancer complications. Derek had been careful. He'd bribed her doctors, falsified records. He was always 3 steps ahead. So she came to you. She came to me, Damien confirmed, and she had a plan. The trust was untouchable as long as she was alive, but once she died, Derek would try to get it through you. He'd manipulate you, threaten you, maybe even kill you if you didn't cooperate. So she decided to marry me off to protect the money? To protect you, Damien corrected, turning to face me. The trust had a clause. If you were married, your spouse would have legal authority to block any changes to the trust management. Derek couldn't touch it, couldn't force you to sign it over, couldn't institutionalize you or have you declared incompetent. Because you'd have legal standing to fight him, I said slowly. Exactly. But I don't remember agreeing to any of this. Damien's expression darkened. Because Derek figured out what your mother was planning, he increased your dosage. The last clear conversation your mother had with you was in early March. She explained everything. You agreed to the marriage. We flew to the courthouse with your mother in a wheelchair and made it legal. He pulled up another photo on his phone. Me in a simple blue dress, Damien in a dark suit. My mother in her wheelchair beside us, tears streaming down her face. I was smiling, happy even. But I had no memory of this moment. The next day, Damien continued, Derek discovered what we'd done. Your mother had hidden the marriage certificate in a safe deposit box. But he knew something had happened. He confronted you and you ran, called me from a gas station, terrified. I told you to stay put, that I was coming to get you. What happened? Derek found you first, convinced you to come home, told you your mother needed you. By the time I got there, he'd already increased the drugs. Within a week, you didn't remember the marriage. Didn't remember our plan, didn't remember anything. And my mother? Died 3 weeks later. I couldn't get to you. Derek had you locked down, monitored. Every time I tried to make contact, he blocked it, changed your number, told people you were grieving, needed space. Why didn't you break down the door then? Because I needed evidence. If I'd shown up claiming to be your husband with no proof of why, Derek would have had me arrested. He'd have painted me as some con artist trying to steal your inheritance, so I spent the last 6 months building a case, gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment. And today was the right moment. Today he finally made his move, tried to evict you, force you out with nothing. That's assault, intimidation, attempted theft. Now I have witnesses, documentation, a legal foundation to protect you. I stared at this stranger, who was apparently my husband. Show me the marriage certificate, I said. Damien handed me the folder. I opened it with shaking hands. There it was. Official seal, judge's signature, 2 witnesses I didn't recognize, and my signature, definitely my handwriting. Lily Marie Foster. There's more, Damien said quietly. Your mother left something for you. She knew you might not remember. She wanted you to understand why she did this. He pulled a small USB drive from his pocket. She recorded a message. The day before she died, she wanted to make sure you knew the truth, that you knew she loved you, that everything she did was to protect you. My hand trembled as I took the drive. I can't, I whispered. I can't watch that right now. I understand. But Lily, there's something else you need to know. What? Derek isn't done. Throwing you out was just his opening move. He's desperate. The trust is worth $40 million, and he's already stolen $8 million. He needs you gone or compliant before anyone audits the accounts. What are you saying? I'm saying you're not safe. Not yet. Derek will come back. He'll try another angle, maybe claim you're mentally unstable, maybe try to prove the marriage is fraudulent, maybe something worse. Worse. Damien met my eyes. Your mother died of poisoning. His first wife died of poisoning. If he can't get the money legally, he might decide you're more valuable dead than alive. The room felt too small, too hot. So what do I do? You let me protect you. That's what I promised your father I'd do. That's what I promised your mother I'd do. And that's what I'm asking you to trust me to do now. I don't even know you. I know, but your mother did. Your father did. And somewhere in your memories, locked away by those drugs, you do too. I looked at the photo again, at my smiling face next to this man who'd apparently saved my life. Okay, I said finally. Okay. Tell me what happens next. Damien's expression shifted, determined, ready. Next, we go to the hospital, get you tested, prove the drugs in your system. Then we start building our case against Derek. We find the evidence your mother hid. We expose everything he's done, and we make sure he never hurts anyone again. And if the memories don't come back, then we make new ones, Damien said. We figure this out together. But Lily, I need you to understand something. This marriage started as protection, a legal arrangement. But your mother chose me because she trusted me, because she knew I'd keep you safe no matter what. Will you? With my life, he said simply. I believed him. I didn't know why. Didn't know this man. Didn't remember marrying him. But something in his eyes told me he was telling the truth, that my mother had known exactly what she was doing, and that maybe, just maybe, I was going to survive this nightmare after all. The hospital was cold and sterile and smelled like disinfectant. Damien had insisted we go immediately. His lawyers followed in a separate car, already preparing documents for what they kept calling the case. A nurse led me into an exam room, drew blood, asked questions I couldn't answer. Have you experienced memory loss? Yes. Unexplained drowsiness or confusion? Yes. When did these symptoms start? I don't remember. The irony wasn't lost on me. Dr. Sarah Kim arrived 20 minutes later, her expression professionally sympathetic. Mrs. Cross, I understand you've been through a traumatic experience. Mrs. Cross. The name felt foreign. The blood work will take a few hours, she continued. But based on your symptoms, if you've been drugged with benzodiazepines, we should see elevated levels. The good news is they clear the system relatively quickly once you stop ingesting them. How quickly? Damien asked from the corner of the room. Depends on the dosage and duration, days to weeks. Some memories may return naturally as the drugs clear. Others may need triggers to resurface. And if they don't come back? Dr. Kim's expression softened. Memory loss from drug-induced amnesia can be permanent. But given your age and the relatively short duration, I'm optimistic. Optimistic. Such a careful word. She left us alone in the exam room. I need to see it, I said suddenly. See what? The wedding video. You said you had it. I need to see myself making this choice. Damien hesitated. Are you sure? It might be difficult. Everything is difficult right now. Show me. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then handed it to me. The video started in a courthouse hallway. My mother's voice off camera, shaky but determined. Are you ready, sweetheart? Then I appeared on screen. I looked tired, scared, but also resolute. My hair was pulled back and I wore that blue dress from the photo. I was thinner than I remembered being. I'm ready, Videomi said. Let's do this. The scene shifted to inside a judge's chambers. Judge Matthews, an older man with kind eyes, stood before a simple desk. Damien was there, looking exactly as he did now. He reached for my hand, and Videomi took it. We are gathered here, the judge began, to witness the marriage of Damien Alexander Cross and Lily Marie Foster. My mother was in the corner, wheelchair-bound, crying silently. Do you, Damien, take Lily to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do, he said, his voice steady. Do you, Lily, take Damien to be your lawfully wedded husband? Videomi looked at my mother. She nodded, tears streaming. I do, I said. The judge pronounced us married. Damien squeezed my hand gently. No kiss, no celebration, just signatures on a document. Then Videomi turned to the camera, to my future self. If you're watching this, I said, it means the drugs worked. It means Derek made you forget. But Mom and I, we have a plan. Damien is Dad's friend. He's going to keep you safe. Trust him. Please, trust him like I'm trusting him now. The video ended. I stared at the blank screen, tears streaming down my face. I sound so scared, I whispered. You were, but you were also brave. You understood what was at stake. My mother looked so sick. She was dying. We all knew it. That's why we moved fast. I handed back the phone. What happened after? After the ceremony? We went back to your mother's hospital room. She was too weak to go home by then. We spent the afternoon together, the three of us. She told stories about your father, about you as a child, about how proud she was of the woman you'd become. And then Derek found out. The next day, your mother's nurse mentioned visitors. Derek put it together. He confronted your mother, but she'd already moved the marriage certificate to a safe deposit box. He couldn't prove anything, couldn't undo it. So he came after me instead. You called me that night, hysterical, said Derek had cornered you at your apartment, demanded to know if you'd gotten married. I told you to stay there, to lock the doors. I was on my way. Damien's jaw tightened. But Derek was faster. He convinced you that your mother had taken a turn for the worse. that you needed to come home immediately. By the time I got to your apartment, you were gone. And he drugged me again, heavily. Within days, you didn't remember the wedding, didn't remember me. Your mother tried to remind you, but Derek had isolated her, changed her medication schedule, limited her visitors. She died alone. No, Damien said firmly. I was there, at the end. I snuck past Derek, told the nurses I was family. She was barely conscious, but she knew I was there. Her last words were about you. What did she say? Keep her safe. Promise me you'll keep her safe. So I promised, and I've been working on that promise ever since. The exam room door opened. Dr. Kim returned with a tablet. Results are preliminary but conclusive. You have significant levels of lorazepam in your system, consistent with regular dosing over an extended period. Can you prove when it started? Damien asked. The half-life suggests regular administration over months, not days. But for legal purposes, we'd need more detailed testing and comparison to baseline levels we don't have. It's enough, one of the lawyers said from the doorway. Combined with witness testimony in the timeline, it establishes a pattern. There's something else, I said suddenly. Something I just remembered. Everyone turned to look at me. My mother had a dollhouse in the attic. She used to tell me that's where she kept her most precious secrets when she was young. She'd say, if you ever need to find the truth, look where memories live. Damien's eyes sharpened. The attic. She hid something there. I know it. I can feel it. Then we go back, Damien said. Right now. Dr. Kim started to protest about rest and observation, but I was already standing. I need to know what my mother left for me, I said. I need to understand what she discovered. The drive back felt like it took forever. My childhood home looked different now, ominous. Derek's car was gone, but I half expected him to jump out from behind every corner. Damien's security team cleared the house first. Then we climbed the stairs to the attic. The dollhouse sat in the corner, exactly where it had always been, a perfect miniature of our home, built by my father for my 6th birthday. I knelt beside it, my hands shaking. Where would she hide something? Damien asked. The master bedroom, I said. That's where she kept her jewelry box when she was young. She showed me once. I carefully opened the dollhouse's 2nd floor. The master bedroom was perfectly furnished, tiny beds and dressers, and a small journal folded to fit inside the miniature room. I pulled it out with trembling fingers. My mother's handwriting covered the first page. My darling Lily, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you need to know the truth about Derek, about what he's done, about what I discovered too late. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you better. But Damien will. Trust him. And use what's in these pages to make sure Derek pays for what he's taken from us. I opened the journal. The first entry was dated 8 months ago. I found the bank statements today. Derek has been stealing from the trust. $8 million over 2 years. When I confronted him, he smiled and said I should be careful, that accidents happen to sick people all the time. My hands shook as I turned the page. He's been putting something in my drinks. I know it now. The symptoms don't match the cancer. I'm being poisoned, just like his first wife was. I've been researching. Ethylene glycol, antifreeze. It mimics so many natural symptoms. By the time I figured it out, it's too late for me. But not for Lily, not if I act fast. I looked up at Damien. She knew, I whispered. She knew everything. Keep reading, he said gently. I flipped through the pages. Evidence, dates, symptoms, photos of bank statements. Names of doctors Derek had bribed. And then the final entry. Tomorrow I marry Lily to Damien. It's the only way to protect her. Derek is drugging her too now. I can see it. The drowsiness, the confusion. He's preparing her the same way he prepared me, but this marriage will stop him. The trust will be untouchable. Lily will be safe, and when she remembers, when the drugs finally clear, she'll have everything she needs to destroy him. I love you, my darling girl. Your father would be so proud of the woman you've become. Finish what I started. Make him pay. The journal fell from my hands. We have to find more, I said. She mentions photos, bank statements. Where would she hide the actual evidence? Damien was already searching the attic, his movements methodical. Here, he called from near the window. Behind a loose board, a waterproof envelope. Inside, USB drives, printed bank statements, medical records, and a cell phone. Everything we need, Damien said, his voice tight with emotion. She documented everything. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. It powered on. The screen showed dozens of audio files. I clicked the first one. Derek's voice filled the attic. Make it look like the cancer is progressing. Up the dosage slowly. She needs to die before she changes the will back. A second voice I didn't recognize. And the daughter? Once the old woman is gone, the girl will be easy to control. She's already half-drugged. A few more weeks and she won't remember her own name. I looked at Damien, and his expression was murderous. We have him, I said. We finally have him. Yes, Damien agreed. Now we make him pay. 3 days later, the toxicology results were official. Dr. Kim sat across from us in her office. The report spread between us like evidence at a crime scene. Lorazepam levels consistent with daily dosing over approximately 4 months, she read. Additionally, trace amounts of zolpidem. Both are benzodiazepines that cause memory impairment, especially when combined. Can you testify to this? Damien asked. Absolutely. This wasn't recreational use. This was systematic drugging. I barely heard them. My mind was stuck on those audio files. Derek's voice casually discussing my mother's murder like he was ordering lunch. We'd listened to all of them, 23 recordings total. Derek and his accomplice, whose voice I still didn't recognize, planning everything. The poisoning timeline, the theft from the trust, the plan to have me declared incompetent. Lily? Damien's voice pulled me back. You still with us? The accomplice, I said. On the recordings. Who is he? We're working on voice identification, but I have a theory. He pulled out a folder, slid a photo across the table. I recognized the man immediately. That's Richard Stokes, the family accountant. Exactly. He's had access to the trust for years. Your mother's journal mentions suspecting him of helping Derek move money offshore. My stomach turned. I've known Richard since I was a kid. He came to my father's funeral, to my mother's funeral. That's how these people work, Damien said quietly. They hide in plain sight. Dr. Kim cleared her throat. There's something else, your mother's medical records. She pulled up files on her computer. I requested them through legal channels. The hospital was initially resistant, but given the circumstances, they cooperated. She turned the screen toward us. These are her toxicology reports from her final 3 months. The hospital tested for various substances during her cancer treatment to avoid drug interactions. And? I leaned forward. Elevated ethylene glycol levels. Not enough to trigger immediate alarm because her kidney function was already compromised by the cancer, but looking at it now, with context, the pattern is clear. Someone was poisoning her. Can you prove it was Derek? Not directly, but combined with her journal, the audio recordings, and the timeline, a medical examiner could make a strong case. Damien stood abruptly. We need to exhume the body. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? If we can prove your mother was murdered, Derek goes to prison for life. Not just fraud. Murder. You want to dig up my mother's grave? I want to get her justice, Damien said gently. This is what she wanted. It's why she left all this evidence. I closed my eyes, seeing my mother's face in that wedding video. Determined, dying, trusting me to finish what she started. Okay, I whispered. Do it. Back at the house, Damien's investigative team had taken over the dining room. Computers, documents, evidence bags, everywhere. A woman in her 40s looked up as we entered. Sharp eyes, no-nonsense expression. Lily, this is Patricia Owens, former FBI, now private investigator. She's been helping me build the case. Patricia shook my hand firmly. Your mother was a smart woman. She left a trail even a dead-end investigator could follow. What have you found? Richard Stokes, family accountant for 12 years. Opened 3 offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands 18 months ago. Been moving money in increments just below federal reporting requirements. She pulled up bank statements on her laptop. $8 million total, split between Derek's accounts and Stokes's accounts. They've been careful, but not careful enough. Can we trace it back to the trust? Already done. Every transaction matches dates when Stokes had authorized access for investment reallocation. He'd moved trust money to a shell company. The shell company would transfer to offshore accounts and boom, clean theft. Why didn't my mother catch this sooner? She trusted Stokes. He'd been your father's accountant. When she finally reviewed the statements herself last year, that's when she discovered the discrepancies. Patricia pulled up another file. Your mother was thorough. She hired her own forensic accountant, kept it secret from everyone, got confirmation of the theft 3 weeks before she died. Then why didn't she go to the police? She did, filed a report with the Financial Crimes Division, but Derek had already laid groundwork, had doctors ready to testify that she was confused from her medication, had Stokes ready to produce corrected statements showing no theft. Without hard evidence, it was her word against theirs. So she decided to protect me instead. She decided to protect you and create a trail we could follow after she was gone. Smart woman. I walked to the window, looking out at the garden my mother had loved. There's more, Damien said quietly. I turned. Derek's first wife, Catherine Vaughn, died 15 years ago of apparent kidney failure. She was 42, previously healthy. He handed me a file. I had Patricia dig into the death records. Catherine's family suspected foul play at the time, but couldn't prove anything. She'd changed her will 2 months before she died, leaving everything to Derek. How much? $3 million. Not as much as your mother's estate, but enough to set him up nicely. He's done this before, I said. This is his pattern. Marry wealthy women, isolate them, poison them, inherit. Your mother was just his biggest score. Rage burned in my chest. We need to tell Catherine's family. They deserve to know. Already on it, Patricia said. Her sister is flying in tomorrow, wants to hear everything. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You're making a mistake. Drop this now or you'll regret it. I showed it to Damien. His expression darkened. Derek's getting desperate. Good, I said. Let him squirm. Patricia's phone rang. She answered, listened, then her eyes widened. We've got a problem. Derek just filed for conservatorship, claiming you're mentally unstable and need a guardian to manage your affairs. He what? He's got affidavits from 2 doctors saying you've been exhibiting erratic behavior, claiming the stress of your mother's death has made you incompetent to manage the trust. Those are the doctors he bribed, Damien said. Exactly. And he's requesting an emergency hearing tomorrow, my hands clenched into fists. He's trying to take control before we can expose him. He knows we have something, Damien said. He's running scared, trying to delegitimize anything you might say against him. What do we do? Patricia smiled, and it wasn't friendly. We give him enough rope to hang himself, let him go to court, let him make his claims, then we bury him with evidence. The hearing is tomorrow. We don't have time to organize everything. We don't need everything, Damien said. We just need enough to block the conservatorship and keep you in control. The rest can come later. What about the recordings? Not yet. If we play those tomorrow, Derek will know we have them. He might run, destroy evidence, warn Stokes. We need them both caught together. So what's the plan? Damien pulled out his phone, started typing. Tomorrow, we show up with medical evidence that you were drugged. Prove Derek had motive and opportunity. Block the conservatorship. Then we use the time we buy to build the murder case. And after? His smile was cold. After, we destroy him publicly. We make sure everyone knows what he did. To your mother, to Catherine, to you. When? 2 weeks. There's a charity gala, the Foster Foundation annual fundraiser. I stared at him. Derek's hosting it, using my mother's foundation. Exactly. Using stolen money to play philanthropist. What better place to expose him than in front of 300 witnesses and half the city's media? The irony was perfect. Terrible and perfect. My mother would love that, I whispered. Your mother planned it, Damien said gently. Look at the date in her journal. Her last entry. She mentions the gala. Says it would be the perfect venue for the truth. I grabbed the journal, flipped to the final page. There it was. The gala. Make him fall at the gala. Maximum witnesses. Maximum impact. Let everyone see who he really is. She knew, I said. Even dying, she was planning his downfall. So we finish what she started, Damien said. We go to court tomorrow. We block his conservatorship. We buy ourselves time, and then we make him pay in the most public way possible. I looked around at the evidence spread across the table. My mother's journal, the recordings, the bank statements, all the pieces of Derek's crimes laid bare. Let's do it, I said. Let's finish this. Patricia started gathering documents. I'll have everything ready for tomorrow's hearing. Medical records, marriage certificate, evidence of drugging. And I'll make sure our lawyers are prepared, Damien added. I picked up my mother's journal, held it close. I won't let you down, Mom, I whispered. I promise. Damien's hand settled on my shoulder. She knew you wouldn't. That's why she trusted you with this. Tomorrow we'd face Derek in court. In 2 weeks, we'd face him at the gala. And by the end of it, he'd pay for every life he'd destroyed, starting with my mother's. The private medical facility was all glass and chrome. Damien had arranged the meeting with Dr. Marcus Webb, one of the country's leading toxicologists. Ethylene glycol poisoning, Dr. Webb said, pulling up chemical structures on his screen. It's insidious because the initial symptoms mimic so many other conditions. He clicked through slides showing symptom progression. Stage 1, nausea, confusion, seeming intoxication. Easy to dismiss as medication side effects or illness. Stage 2, metabolic acidosis, rapid heartbeat. Still easily attributed to existing conditions like cancer. Stage 3, kidney failure, neurological damage. How long does it take? I asked. Depends on the dosage. Small amounts over months. The victim slowly deteriorates. Looks like natural disease progression. He pulled up my mother's medical records. Your mother's timeline fits perfectly. January through March, increasing kidney problems, confusion, weakness, all blamed on cancer progression when it was actually poisoning. Can you prove it? Exhumation and tissue analysis would be definitive. Ethylene glycol metabolizes to oxalate crystals. They deposit in organs, especially kidneys. Even months after death we'd find them. Damien leaned forward. How certain are you? Looking at these records, 90%. With tissue samples? 100%. Dr. Webb pulled up another file. There's precedent. Derek's first wife, Catherine Vaughn. I pulled her death records. Same pattern. Sudden kidney failure in a previously healthy woman. Never properly investigated. Could it be coincidence? One wife dying of mysterious kidney failure? Maybe. Two? He shook his head. That's a pattern. What about Lily? Damien's voice was tight. Dr. Webb turned to me. Your blood work shows you were in early stages. Another few months and you'd have had permanent kidney damage. He was preparing you the same way. My hands clenched. The tea. What tea? Derek always made it. Said it would help me sleep, help with stress. My mother's too. He'd bring it every evening like clockwork. There's your delivery method, Dr. Webb said. Consistent, controlled dosing. You'd never taste it mixed with chamomile or other strong flavors. Damien pulled out his phone. Patricia, I need you to search Derek's house. Look for antifreeze, any container that could have held it. Already on it. Patricia's voice came through the speaker. Got a warrant this morning based on the medical evidence. We're moving in now. Call me when you find something. Dr. Webb handed us a thick report. This is everything you need for court. Medical evidence, timeline analysis, comparison to known poisoning cases. If the judge has half a brain, Derek's conservatorship claim dies today. The courthouse was packed. Derek sat on the opposite side with his lawyers, looking confident and composed, playing the concerned stepfather. I wanted to scream. Judge Elizabeth Reeves entered, and everyone stood. This is a hearing regarding the petition for emergency conservatorship filed by Derek Vaughn concerning Lily Foster. Mr. Vaughn, your attorney may proceed. Derek's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Miss Foster has exhibited severe mental instability following her mother's death. We have affidavits from 2 physicians stating she requires supervised care and is currently unable to manage a $40 million trust. Miss Foster is married, Damien's lawyer countered. Her husband is present and capable of providing any support she needs. Derek's lawyer smiled. A marriage Miss Foster doesn't even remember, entered into while she was clearly not of sound mind. Because your client was drugging her, our lawyer shot back. Judge Reeves held up her hand. Let's see the evidence. Starting with the medical affidavit supporting the conservatorship. Derek's lawyer presented documents from Dr. James Whitmore and Dr. Susan Park. Both claimed I was delusional, unstable, possibly a danger to myself. Now Miss Foster's evidence. Our lawyer stood. Your Honor, we have toxicology reports from Valley Medical Center showing Miss Foster had significant levels of benzodiazepines in her system, levels consistent with being drugged without her knowledge. He handed up Dr. Kim's report. We also have expert testimony from Dr. Marcus Webb, a toxicologist who reviewed both Miss Foster's records and her late mother's records. His findings indicate both women were systematically poisoned. Judge Reeves read through the documents, her expression darkening. These are serious allegations. Supported by serious evidence, Your Honor. We also have audio recordings of Mr. Vaughn discussing the poisoning with an accomplice. Derek shot to his feet. That's fabricated. This is a conspiracy to deny me what my wife wanted me to have. Sit down, Mr. Vaughn, the judge said sharply. She turned to our lawyer. Play the recording. He set up a speaker. Derek's voice filled the courtroom. Make it look like the cancer is progressing. Up the dosage slowly. The second voice. And the daughter. Once the old woman is gone, the girl will be easy to control. The courtroom erupted. Derek's face went white. Where did you get that? He shouted. That's illegal wiretapping. It's a recording made by Lily's mother before her death, our lawyer said calmly. Completely legal. Judge Reeves banged her gavel. Order. Everyone sit down. She looked at Derek with open disgust. Mr. Vaughn, I'm denying your petition for conservatorship. Furthermore, I'm ordering a full investigation into the circumstances of your wife's death. Your Honor, please. I'm also issuing a restraining order. You are not to come within 500 feet of Miss Foster. You are not to contact her in any way. Do you understand? Derek's lawyer tried to intervene. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. What's irregular is a man trying to steal his stepdaughter's inheritance after apparently poisoning her mother. Get him out of my courtroom before I have him arrested right now. Security moved toward Derek. He backed away, his mask finally slipping completely. This isn't over, he hissed at me. That money is mine. Your mother owed me. My mother owed you nothing, I said, standing. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you did to her. They escorted him out. I sat down, shaking. We won, Damien said quietly. Round 1, I corrected. He'll fight back. Patricia appeared in the courtroom doorway, holding up an evidence bag. Inside was a container of antifreeze. Found it in his garage, she called, hidden behind paint cans. And guess what? It matches the brand detected in your mother's system. Our lawyer smiled. Your Honor, we'd like to request an immediate exhumation order for Victoria Foster. The judge nodded. Granted. And someone get the DA on the phone. I want criminal charges filed. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Miss Foster, do you believe your stepfather murdered your mother? Are you pressing charges? What about the trust fund? Damien's security held them back, but I stopped. My mother was a brilliant, loving woman who dedicated her life to helping others, I said. She deserves justice, and she's going to get it. When? Soon. Very soon. In the car, Patricia handed me her phone. Catherine Vaughn's sister wants to talk to you. I took the phone. Hello? Miss Foster, my name is Jennifer Hartford. Catherine was my sister. I'm so sorry for your loss. We always knew something was wrong. Derek wouldn't let us see her at the end, said she was too sick, too weak. We suspected, but we couldn't prove anything. Her voice broke. Now you can help us prove it. Will you? Yes. God, yes. That monster took my sister. If he took your mother too, I want him to pay. He will, I promised. In 2 weeks, at the Foster Foundation Gala, we're going to expose everything he's done. Will you be there? I wouldn't miss it. I hung up and looked at Damien. Derek has no idea what's coming. No, Damien agreed, but he will soon enough. My phone buzzed. Another text from Derek's number. You'll regret this, all of you. I showed it to Damien. He's panicking, he said. Good. Panicked people make mistakes. What's our next move? We wait for the exhumation results, build the case, and prepare for the gala. What if he runs? He won't. Too much money still at stake. He thinks he can still win. Can he? Damien met my eyes. Not a chance. We have evidence, witnesses, and your mother's entire plan laid out for us. Derek's already lost. He just doesn't know it yet. Patricia's phone rang. She answered, listened, then smiled. The DA is filing murder charges. Warrant will be issued tomorrow. Tomorrow? I said. Why not today? They want the exhumation results first. Solid, undeniable evidence. They're going to arrest him at the gala. The symmetry was perfect. Derek, playing philanthropist with stolen money, arrested for murder in front of everyone he'd fooled. My mother would have loved it. 2 weeks, I said. We have 2 weeks to make sure everything is perfect. Then let's get to work, Damien said. And we did. I woke up screaming. Damien was at my door in seconds, security right behind him. Lily, what's wrong? I remembered, I gasped. I remembered something. He sat on the edge of the bed while I tried to catch my breath. My mother. She was crying, begging me to trust you. She said Derek was going to kill me if I didn't do exactly what she said. The memory played like a film reel. My mother in her wheelchair, so frail she could barely hold my hand. When was this? The day before the wedding. She made me promise, made me swear I'd go through with it even though I was terrified. More fragments surfaced, my mother's shaking hands, her desperation. She said, "This will keep you safe from Derek. Promise me you'll trust him." And I promised because she was so scared. I'd never seen her that scared. Damien's expression was careful. What else? I closed my eyes, chasing the memory. You, at the courthouse. You told me the marriage was just paperwork, legal protection, that I didn't have to worry about anything else, that you'd keep me safe and ask nothing in return. I meant it. I know. I could tell then too. That's why I agreed. The memories were coming faster now, like a dam breaking. After the ceremony, we went back to Mom's hospital room. She was so weak, but she smiled. She said, "Now he can't touch you. Now you're safe." My voice cracked. She died thinking she'd saved me, thinking the plan worked. She did save you. The marriage blocked Derek's access to the trust. Everything else we're doing builds on her foundation. Another memory surfaced, sharper than the others. Derek. He found me the next day, at my apartment near campus. The fear came rushing back, real and visceral. He was so angry. He grabbed me, shook me, asked if I'd gotten married. I was so scared I told him yes. Told him about you. That's when he increased the drugs, Damien said quietly. He smiled. That horrible smile. He said, "We'll see about that. You're going to forget all about this little marriage, and then you're going to sign everything over to me like a good girl." I opened my eyes, looked at Damien. "I called you from a gas station. I was running. I didn't know where to go. I remember. You were hysterical. I told you to stay there, that I was coming. But Derek found me first. He said Mom had collapsed, that she was asking for me. I believed him. The guilt crashed over me. I went with him willingly, got in his car, and he drove me home and locked me in my room. He drugged your water, your food, everything. Within days, I couldn't remember why I was scared of him. Couldn't remember you. Couldn't remember the wedding. More memories flooded in. My mother visiting one last time, tears streaming down her face. She tried to remind me, said, "You have to remember, Damien. You have to remember what we did." But I didn't understand. The drugs made everything fuzzy. "She gave you something," Damien prompted gently. "The day before she died." The memory clicked into place. A phone, a small prepaid phone. She said, "Everything you need is on this phone. Hide it where only you would look, somewhere from childhood, somewhere Derek would never think to search." "The treehouse," Damien said. "Yes, I remember now. I hid it that night, wrapped it in plastic, buried it under the floorboards." I grabbed Damien's arm. "We need to get it, right now. It's 3 a.m. I don't care. What if Derek finds it? What if he's already found it?" Damien studied my face, then nodded. "Get dressed." 10 minutes later, we were in the backyard. The treehouse my father built loomed in the darkness, looking smaller than I remembered. Security swept it first with flashlights. Then Damien climbed up, helped me through the entrance. The space smelled like old wood and childhood memories. "There," I pointed to the corner. "Under that board." Damien pried it up. A waterproof package lay underneath, exactly where I'd left it. My hands shook as I unwrapped it. The phone powered on. Dozens of audio files. Just like the ones we'd already found. But these were different. I played the first one, Derek's voice. The timeline for full access to the accounts is 6 months after death. Any sooner looks suspicious, the accomplice. And if the daughter doesn't cooperate, then we use the psychiatric evaluations, declare her incompetent. I become conservator. Second recording. Derek and Richard Stokes. I recognized his voice now. The old woman knows, Stokes said, nervous. She asked me about the missing 8 million. Then we accelerate the timeline, increase her dosage. She'll be dead in a month. What about the girl? Already handling it. She won't remember anything soon. The benzodiazepines are working perfectly. Third recording. This one made my blood run cold. Derek alone, talking to himself, or maybe making notes. Catherine's formula worked perfectly. Small doses of antifreeze in her morning smoothies. Took 6 months but looked completely natural. Victoria's cancer makes it even easier. Everyone expects her to die. No one will question it. I looked at Damien, tears streaming down my face. He's confessing. He's literally confessing to murdering both of them. Keep listening. Fourth recording. Derek and Stokes again. Once Victoria's dead and the girl signs over the trust, what happens to her? Derek's laugh was chilling. Tragic suicide. Grief-stricken daughter couldn't handle losing her mother. Pills and alcohol. I'll find her in her room, call 911 crying. Devastated stepfather who tried so hard to help. Jesus, Damien whispered. He was going to kill me, I said. After he got the money, he was going to kill me and make it look like suicide. But your mother stopped him. The marriage stopped him. I scrolled through more files. There had to be 20 recordings on this phone. This is everything. Confessions, plans, evidence of both murders and the planned third. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Exhumation complete. Preliminary results show massive oxalate crystal deposits in kidney tissue. Definitive proof of ethylene glycol poisoning. I showed Damien. We have him, he said. Medical evidence, audio confessions, bank records. We have everything. When do we move? The gala is in 1 week. The DA wants to coordinate the arrest for maximum impact. Derek thinks he's won, thinks the conservatorship denial was just a setback. He's still planning to host the gala. He sent out a statement today, grieving stepfather honoring his late wife's legacy, playing the victim of false accusations. Rage burned in my chest. Let him stand up there in front of everyone and play the devoted husband, and then we'll destroy him. We climbed down from the treehouse. Security helped me to the ground. Back inside, I couldn't sleep. The memories kept coming faster now. My mother's final words to me, whispered when Derek wasn't in the room. Be strong, baby. Finish what I started. Make him pay for what he's done. And when it's over, live. Live the life your father and I dreamed for you. I found Damien in the study, reviewing evidence. I remember her last words, I said. He looked up. She told me to make him pay, to finish what she started. You are. No, we are. You kept your promise to her, to my father. You protected me when I couldn't even remember needing protection. It's what they would have wanted. I sat across from him. The marriage. When this is over, when Derek's in prison and the trust is secure, we can dissolve it. You've done more than enough. Damien was quiet for a long moment. Is that what you want? I thought about it. This man who'd fought for me, protected me, asked nothing in return. I don't know what I want, I admitted. 6 months ago, my mother was alive and I was planning my architecture career. Now she's dead. I'm married to a man I barely know, and I'm about to send my stepfather to prison for murder. That's fair. But I do know one thing. I'm grateful for everything you've done, everything you're still doing. Your mother trusted me with the most important thing in her life. I won't let her down." "You haven't. You won't." Patricia burst in without knocking. "We've got a problem. Stokes is missing." "What?" "He didn't show up for work today. His apartment is empty. Looks like he cleared out in a hurry." Damien swore. Derek warned him. How? The restraining order? Burner phones? Intermediaries? Derek's not stupid. If Stokes runs, we lose half our case. "No," Damien said firmly. "We have the recordings, the bank records. Stokes running just proves guilt. But we wanted them both arrested at the gala. Then we find him before the gala. Patricia, put every resource on this. I want him found in the next 6 days." She nodded and left. I looked at Damien. Derek knows we're coming for him. Let him know. Let him sweat. Knowing doesn't help him. We still have all the evidence. What if he runs too? He won't. Too arrogant. Too convinced he can still win. Damien smiled coldly. And that arrogance is going to destroy him. Patricia found Stokes in 72 hours. "Airport hotel in Denver," she said, pulling up surveillance footage. "Booked under his brother's name. Amateur mistake." I watched the screen. Richard Stokes pacing his hotel room, phone pressed to his ear, looking terrified. "Can we hear the call?" "Working on it, but look at the timing. He's calling every 2 hours. Same number." "Derek," Damien said. "Exactly. And Derek's calling him back. They're coordinating." Patricia pulled up phone records. Burner phones, but sloppy. They're panicking. Stokes wants to run to Mexico. Derek's telling him to stay put. "Why would Derek want him to stay?" I asked. "Because if Stokes runs internationally, it proves guilt. Derek's still trying to maintain innocence. Probably promised Stokes money to stay quiet." Damien leaned forward. "Can we get to him before the gala?" "Already arranged. FBI has him under surveillance. They'll pick him up tomorrow." "Why wait?" "The DA wants him at the gala. Wants Derek to see him in handcuffs. Wants Derek to know his accomplice flipped." "Did Stokes flip?" Patricia smiled. "He will. Man's terrified. First hint of a plea deal, and he'll give up everything." The next morning I was reviewing the gala seating chart when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Don't answer it," Damien said. I answered anyway. "Hello, Lily." Derek's voice was smooth, confident. "We should talk." "We have nothing to say." "I think we do. You see, I know what you're planning. The dramatic reveal at the gala. Very theatrical. Your mother would be proud." My hand tightened on the phone. "But here's the thing. You don't have enough evidence. Recordings can be faked. Medical reports can be disputed. And I have very expensive lawyers who will tear apart every piece of your case. We'll see. I'm offering you a deal. Drop this nonsense, and I'll give you $10 million from the trust. Clean, legal, and you get to walk away." "You're offering me my own money?" "I'm offering you a future. Take the $10 million, move on with your life, or fight me and lose everything in legal fees." I laughed. "You're delusional." "I'm realistic. You're a 22-year-old girl playing detective. I'm a businessman with resources and connections. This ends badly for you." "No, Derek, this ends badly for you. At the gala, in front of everyone." "We'll see about that." He hung up. "He's scared," Damien said. That call was desperation. He didn't sound desperate, because he's a narcissist, but offering you money, trying to negotiate, that's not the move of a man who thinks he's winning. Patricia entered with her laptop. "Stokes is singing. FBI picked him up an hour ago. Soon as they mentioned murder charges, he collapsed." She played a video. Stokes in an interrogation room, sweating, hands shaking. "I didn't know about the poisoning," he was saying. "Derek told me it was just embezzlement. I helped move the money, yes, but I swear I didn't know about the murders." "But you heard him discussing it," the FBI agent said. I thought he was joking, venting. I never actually believed. We have recordings of you discussing dosage schedules. Stokes buried his face in his hands. He said she was already dying, that the antifreeze was just speeding up the inevitable, that it was mercy. Mercy, I said flatly. He calls murder mercy. The interrogation continued. What about Lily Foster? Derek said she was too young to handle the trust, that she'd waste it, that we were protecting the money by managing it ourselves. By stealing $8 million. It was supposed to be temporary. We'd invest it, make it grow, return it with interest. Did you believe that? Long pause. No, I knew we were stealing, but Derek said no one would ever know, that it was victimless because Lily would never miss money she didn't know existed. The agent leaned forward. What about the plan to have her declared incompetent? That was Derek's idea. He had psychiatrists ready to testify. Said once he had conservatorship, we could move the rest of the money offshore. And then what? Stokes looked sick. I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. Because you knew he was going to kill her too. I suspected. God help me, I suspected, and I said nothing. The video paused. That's a confession, Damien said. To conspiracy, fraud, and accessory to attempted murder. What kind of deal did they offer him? I asked. 20 years instead of life. He testifies against Derek, provides all financial records, explains the entire scheme. 20 years isn't enough. It's enough to bury Derek, Patricia said. With Stokes's testimony, we don't just have circumstantial evidence. We have a co-conspirator confession. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Derek. Stokes is weak, always has been. Whatever he told them is lies. See you at the gala. I showed it to Damien. He still thinks he can win, I said. Let him think it. The fall will be harder. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. The DA's office coordinated with the gala organizers. Police would be positioned as regular security. Media would be present for what they thought was a charity event. 300 guests, all of high society, all expecting a normal evening. Catherine Vaughn's sister, Jennifer Hartford, arrived 2 days before the gala. She looked like Catherine's photos. Same dark hair, same sharp eyes. But where Catherine had been soft, Jennifer was steel. Thank you for meeting me, she said. Thank you for coming. We sat in the study. She pulled out an old photo album. Catherine was my best friend. When she married Derek, I was happy for her. He seemed charming, successful, devoted. She turned pages, showing photos of a smiling couple. Then she got sick. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the doctors couldn't explain it, said it was just one of those things, random kidney failure. But you didn't believe it. I knew my sister. She was healthy, active. Then within 6 months she was dead. Jennifer's voice hardened. Derek wouldn't let me see her at the end. Said she was too weak, too sick. When I finally saw her at the funeral, she looked like she'd been tortured. I'm so sorry. We tried to investigate, hired a lawyer, but Derek had covered his tracks. No evidence, no proof, just a grieving husband and a dead wife. She closed the album. For 15 years I've known he killed her, known it in my bones, but I couldn't prove it. Now you can. Now we can, together. She pulled out a folder. I kept everything, every medical record, every suspicious moment, every lie Derek told. I've been waiting for this day. I took the folder. Inside were detailed notes, timeline analysis, witness statements from people who'd known Catherine. This is incredible. This is justice. Finally. Jennifer met my eyes. Your mother and my sister, both murdered by the same monster. We're going to make him pay for both of them. Yes, we are. The day before the gala, Damien received a call from the DA. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Derek's lawyers filed a motion to suppress the audio recordings, claiming they were obtained illegally. My stomach dropped. "Can they do that?" "They can try, but the recordings were made by your mother on her own property, completely legal." "When's the hearing?" "This afternoon. Judge Reeves is presiding." We rushed to the courthouse. Derek was already there, smiling like he'd won. "Miss Foster," he called out, "still playing detective?" I ignored him. Judge Reeves reviewed the motion quickly. The recordings were made by Victoria Foster before her death. She had every right to record conversations in her own home. Motion denied. Derek's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we also have new evidence. A psychiatric evaluation of Miss Foster showing she's fabricating memories due to drug withdrawal." "From the drugs your client gave her?" the judge said dryly. "Alleged drugs, Your Honor. Proven drugs. I've seen the toxicology reports. Anything else?" "We request the gala be postponed. This media circus is prejudicial to our client's right to a fair trial." "The gala is a private charity event. I have no jurisdiction over it. Your client is free not to attend." "He's the host, Your Honor." "It would look like he's guilty," Judge Reeves said. "Perhaps he should have thought of that before poisoning 2 women. We're done here." She banged her gavel. Outside, Derek cornered me. "Tomorrow night," he said quietly, "you're going to stand up there and make a fool of yourself. And when it's over, when your evidence falls apart and you're left with nothing, I'm going to sue you for everything you have." "I'll see you tomorrow, Derek." He leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. "Your mother died slowly, painfully, begging for it to stop. I made sure of that." Rage exploded in my chest. Damien caught my arm before I could lunge. "Walk away," Damien said to Derek, "before I forget I'm a civilized man." Derek smiled and left. "Tomorrow," I said, shaking with fury. "Tomorrow he pays for everything." "Tomorrow," Damien agreed. Justice finally comes for Derek Vaughn. The Foster Foundation Gala was already in full swing when we arrived. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, 300 of the city's elite sipping champagne and pretending to care about charity. Derek stood at the center of it all, playing the grieving widower to perfection. "There he is," Damien said quietly, "enjoying his last night of freedom." I wore my mother's diamonds, the ones Derek had tried to steal. They felt like armor. Police were positioned throughout the room, disguised as regular security. The DA stood near the exit. Media lined the back wall, cameras ready for what they thought would be a standard charity speech. They had no idea what was coming. Derek saw us and smiled, walked over with a champagne flute. "Lily, how brave of you to come." And Damien, "Still playing the protective husband?" "Still playing the murderer?" I asked. His smile didn't waver. "Careful. Slander is expensive." "Truth is free." A woman in a red dress approached. "Mr. Vaughn, they're ready for your speech." Derek straightened his tie. "Time to honor my beloved wife's memory. You should watch. You might learn something about Grace." He walked to the stage, tapped the microphone. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us to celebrate the Foster Foundation and continue my late wife Victoria's incredible legacy." Applause, smiling faces. No one suspected. Victoria dedicated her life to helping others. Even in her final days, battling cancer with such courage, she thought only of those less fortunate. I felt sick listening to him. She would be so proud to see you all here tonight, supporting the causes she held dear, the women's shelter, the medical research fund, the scholarship program, programs he'd been stealing from for 2 years. It's my honor to continue her work, to ensure her vision lives on. He raised his glass. To Victoria. Gone but never forgotten. To Victoria, the crowd echoed. That's when Damien moved. He walked to the stage, climbed the steps. Derek's smile faltered. Ladies and gentlemen, Damien said, taking the microphone, I have something important to share about Victoria Foster, about how she really died. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Derek's face went white. This is inappropriate. This is justice, Damien cut him off. He nodded to Patricia. She hit play on the sound system. Derek's voice filled the ballroom. Make it look like the cancer is progressing. Up the dosage slowly. She needs to die before she changes the will back. Gasps, shocked whispers. Derek lunged for the microphone. Security blocked him. That's fabricated, he shouted. This is a setup. The second recording played. Once the old woman is gone, the girl will be easy to control. Keep her drugged and confused. A woman screamed. People started standing, backing away from Derek. Damien continued, calm and controlled. Victoria Foster wasn't killed by cancer. She was murdered, poisoned with ethylene glycol over 6 months by the man standing before you. Bank statements appeared on the screens around the room. Derek Vaughn, along with accountant Richard Stokes, embezzled $8 million from the Foster Foundation Trust. Money you donated, money meant for charity. The crowd erupted, angry voices, cameras flashing. Derek tried to run. Police moved in from all sides. Derek Vaughn, you're under arrest for the murder of Victoria Foster, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and embezzlement. This is insane, Derek screamed as they handcuffed him. She's lying, they're all lying. I stepped onto the stage. My mother knew you were killing her, I said, my voice clear and strong. She documented everything, every symptom, every theft, every lie. I held up her journal. She recorded your confessions, she gathered evidence, and she made sure that even after you killed her, you'd never get away with it. Derek's face twisted with rage. Your mother was a stupid, naive woman who got exactly what she deserved. The room went silent. She deserved to die slowly, painfully, just like Catherine did. Jennifer Hartford stood from her seat in the crowd. You murdered my sister too, she said, her voice breaking. 15 years ago, the same way. Derek laughed. Actually laughed. Prove it. Oh, wait, you can't. Catherine's been dead for 15 years. We exhumed her body, Damien said. Tissue analysis shows the same ethylene glycol poisoning, the same method, the same killer. Derek's smile finally died. Richard Stokes was led in through the side entrance, handcuffed and defeated. Derek saw him and understanding dawned. You talked, he said flatly. I'm sorry, Stokes whispered. I couldn't go to prison for murder. I told them everything. You weak, pathetic... Mr. Vaughn, the detective interrupted. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They dragged him toward the exit. Media cameras captured every second. Flashbulbs exploded. Reporters shouted questions. Derek looked back at me one last time. You think you've won, he snarled. You think this is over. I'll be out in a week. My lawyers will tear this apart. No, I said. You won't. Because my mother was smarter than you, braver than you. And she made sure you'd pay for every life you destroyed. They pulled him through the doors. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Guests crying, talking, demanding answers. I stood at the microphone, my mother's journal clutched to my chest. My mother's final wish was that this foundation continue helping people, that her death means something. So tonight, we're announcing the Victoria Foster Victim Advocacy Fund. Every penny Derek stole will be recovered and used to help victims of domestic violence and financial abuse. Applause. Genuine this time. My mother couldn't get justice for herself, but she made sure I could get it for her, and for Catherine Vaughn, and for everyone Derek ever hurt. Jennifer joined me on stage, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving my sister peace." Damien appeared at my side. "You did it," he said quietly. "You finished what she started." I looked out at the crowd, at the empty space where Derek had stood, at the cameras capturing everything. "No," I said. "We did it, together." The DA approached. "That was quite a show. Derek's lawyers are going to have a field day with the publicity." "Let them. The evidence speaks for itself." "It does. Between the recordings, Stokes's testimony, the exhumation results, and the financial records, Derek won't see daylight for the rest of his life." Good. Outside, media swarmed. I gave one statement. "Derek Vaughn murdered my mother and Catherine Vaughn. He stole from charity. He tried to kill me. Tonight, justice was served. That's all I have to say." In the car, I finally broke down. Damien held me while I sobbed. For my mother, for Catherine, for everything Derek had stolen from us. "It's over," Damien said gently. "It's finally over." "Is it?" "The hard part is. Now comes healing." I looked at him through my tears. "I couldn't have done this without you. Your mother knew that. That's why she trusted me with you. She was right to." We drove home in silence. The house felt different now, lighter, like my mother's ghost could finally rest. Her mission was complete. Derek would pay for his crimes, and I was finally truly free. 1 year later. The courtroom was packed for the sentencing. I sat in the front row, Jennifer Hartford beside me, our hands clasped tight. Judge Reeves looked down at Derek with open disgust. "Derek Vaughn, you have been found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and embezzlement. The evidence against you was overwhelming. The cruelty you displayed, unforgivable." Derek stood in his orange jumpsuit, no longer the polished businessman. He looked old, broken. "For the murder of Victoria Foster, you are sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. For the murder of Catherine Vaughn, life in prison without possibility of parole. These sentences will run consecutively." Derek's lawyer started to object. The judge silenced him with a look. "Richard Stokes, for your cooperation and testimony, you are sentenced to 20 years with possibility of parole after 15. Stokes hung his head. "Get them out of my courtroom." As they led Derek past me, he stopped. "This isn't over," he whispered. "Yes," I said calmly, "it is." They dragged him away. I never saw him again. Outside, Jennifer hugged me tight. "Catherine can rest now. Thank you." "Thank your sister. She's the one who started this by keeping records. Without her documentation, we might never have connected the cases. 2 women who refused to be forgotten. 2 women who saved my life." 6 months after the trial, the Foster Foundation reopened under new management. Mine. Damien helped me navigate the business side, taught me everything my father had taught him. We recovered every penny Derek stole and launched 3 new programs. The Victoria Foster Victim Advocacy Fund helped domestic violence survivors escape dangerous situations. The Catherine Vaughn Memorial Scholarship supported women returning to school after abuse. The Financial Literacy Program taught people to recognize and prevent financial exploitation. Work became my therapy. Every life we helped felt like honoring my mother's memory. Damien and I fell into an easy partnership. Coffee every morning reviewing foundation business. Late nights strategizing about new initiatives. Shared grief over the parents we'd lost. Somewhere along the way, partnership became friendship, and friendship became something more. It happened gradually, his hand on my shoulder lasting a beat too long, my heart racing when he smiled, the way we'd find excuses to stay up talking long after work was done. On the anniversary of my mother's death, we visited her grave together. I placed flowers on the headstone. "You were right about him, Mom, about everything." Damien stood beside me, quiet and solid. "She saved you," he said. "Even dying, she found a way. She saved both of us, gave us each other." He looked at me then, really looked at me. "Lily, this past year, working with you, getting to know the real you, not the drugged, scared girl I married, but the strong, brilliant woman you've become." He paused. "I never expected this." "Expected what?" "To fall in love with my wife." My breath caught. "The marriage started as protection," he continued, "legal paperwork, but somewhere along the way it became real, at least for me." "For me too," I whispered. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. "I know we're already married, but we never chose each other. Not really. So I'm asking you now, with no drugs, no fear, no ulterior motives. Lily Foster, will you marry me again? For real this time?" Tears streamed down my face. "Yes." He slid the ring onto my finger, kissed me there beside my mother's grave. "She'd be happy," I said. "She'd be proud. Look at everything you've built." 3 months later, we had a real wedding. Small, intimate, just close friends and family. Jennifer was there, smiling through happy tears. I wore my mother's wedding dress, altered to fit. When Damien and I exchanged vows, I felt my mother's presence, her approval, her love. "What started as the worst day of my life led me here," I said in my vows. "To purpose, to justice, to love." My mother's final act wasn't just protection. It was giving me the chance to become who I was meant to be. The reception was at the newly opened Victoria Foster Women's Shelter, a converted mansion that provided safety, counseling, and job training for abuse survivors. A plaque by the entrance read, "In memory of Victoria Foster and Catherine Vaughn, 2 women who refused to be victims, 2 women who saved lives even after their own were taken." Damien pulled me onto the dance floor. "Any regrets?" he asked. "About what?" "Marrying a stranger to protect yourself, having your life turned upside down, fighting a murderer for a year." I thought about my mother's journal, her final words, her impossible plan that somehow worked. No regrets. She gave me you, gave me purpose, gave me the strength I didn't know I had. She'd be proud of the woman you've become. She'd be proud of us both. We danced under the lights, surrounded by the foundation's success, by the lives we'd saved, by the legacy we'd built from tragedy. Derek was in prison for life. The foundation thrived. My mother's memory lived on in every woman we helped. And I had found love in the most unexpected place. My mother's final gift was both safety and love, a future built on her sacrifice, a life she never got to see but made possible anyway. "I love you," I told Damien. "I love you too, and I promise every single day to honor the trust your mother placed in me." "You already have." Later, at the shelter groundbreaking, I spoke to the crowd. My mother taught me that even in our darkest moments, we have the power to protect those we love. She couldn't save herself, but she saved me. And now, together, we'll save others. I looked at the rendering of the completed shelter, at Damien beside me, at Jennifer in the front row, at the future my mother had made possible. This is for you, Mom. Every life saved, every woman protected, every survivor given a second chance. This is your legacy, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure it means something." The crowd applauded. Construction began, and as the sun set on that new beginning, I felt at peace. My mother's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. Derek's evil hadn't won. And love, real and true and chosen, had grown from the ashes of tragedy. What started as the worst day of my life had led me here, to purpose, to justice, to love, and to a future where my mother's legacy would help countless others find their own strength, their own justice, their own new beginnings, just as she had helped me find mine. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, wait until you see what's coming next. It's even more powerful and inspiring than you can imagine. So don't go anywhere. Click on that video showing on your screen right now to dive into another amazing story that will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you won't regret it.